What's good is Postman, Liveoffbeats.com. I'm here with the very special Ryan from Ryini Beats, coming out of San Fernando, California. Very special producer. We got a chance to work together. He was a client of mine, and I was able to see what he has done so far, and it's pretty amazing. He has a very, very good YouTube following as far as his beats, as far as his music production online, beat sales, customers, clients, all the stuff that a lot of you guys dream about, like want to get to one day. Ryan is there already. And hopefully we can get him to share some of his secrets. And to the tune of like 1.6 million views last month. I believe that's what what it said, about 1.6 million views or something like that.
Yeah, that's
right. On your beats last month. Yeah, it's incredible. And then also just me researching them too. I mean, he got beats that have like, I mean, they're just ranked hella high for like crazy keywords. I mean, it just is incredible, man. And he's a guitar player. On top of that, he's a musician doing what he loves. And to me, one of the most amazing things is that his style of beats is different. So, you know, from a production standpoint, me being a music producer and lover of music, even from that standpoint, I really appreciate what he's doing because he's kind of bringing a new sound to the game and he's doing it in his own way. So like he's mixing rock and trap and acoustic guitars and making a lane for himself and having a huge following and success doing it. So that's one of the things that I'm most excited about too, is somebody kind of doing it in a different way. So all you producers out there that's like, hey, I got my own sound, or hey, do I have to do this particular type? Ryan is somebody that's proven that you can do it your way, do what you love, do your sound. It's still current. It's still got to be dope, but it don't have to sound like everybody else in order to create your lane. So no further ado, we got Ryan of Ryini Beats. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty well. I just got back from a nice walk, and it's nice to see you again and to be here on an interview with you, Postman.
Okay, nice. So let's start from the beginning. So, you know, so you're a guitar player. How'd you get started in the music, man?
And going way back, I mean, like I've always loved music since, you know, elementary school, just, you know, singing. And then in middle school, getting involved a little bit in the band. I played actually trombone for like one semester or like 1 year, I think. Learned a little bit about, you know, how to read some music and how to play with the band and learn a little bit about timing. And going through high school, just like kind of these elements started to come together where, you know, I listened to a little bit of music, and then I started to learn a little bit about guitar, thanks to my friends that were like really into the guitar. So then from there, I just continued to pursue like where I wanted to go with music. And it was after high school, I kind of didn't know what to do with my life. And I was like a horrible student in school. And I decided to go back to community college and to try to give it a go. And I took a music class and started to get back into it a little bit. And I spent like 5 years of my life pursuing earning a bachelor's degree. So I actually do have a degree. But after I ended up with the degree, this is like 2 years ago when I first ran into you, I kind of didn't know what I was doing still. You know, I'm out of college, and it's like, do I want to become a teacher with like a degree in English, or what do I want to do? And luckily I continued to get on YouTube and to make beats and to just getting started with it. And that's when I ran into you and started to learn a little bit about the business and, you know, just how to take off and give artists what they're looking for and to make an impact in the game. So that's where I'm at now speaking with you here.
Hey, well, that's an amazing story already. Just so you actually went to college, got a degree, and what did you get your degree in?
Actually in English literature. So it was just something, I was actually an athlete, but that was just something that I thought I could do because I had like decent experience in, you know, like writing a paper or something. Thought I could fly by with it.
Yeah, well, I think that's inspiring though, because, you know, I think a lot of us as producers, you know, we get out of high school and we start pursuing life. We don't look at the music as like too viable. We don't really know how to do that. But then we go into other things that we may not necessarily care much about, but feel like there may be a career in that. So, I mean, I feel like it had to be kind of a hard decision, especially, you know, breaking it to your family. Like, hey, man, I'm gonna pursue music. Yeah, I did the degree thing, but I'm not really going to pursue what I got a degree in. Like, how was that like?
Yeah, I mean, they always ask me to say, I get the same question every time, you know, oh, what are you going to do with the English degree? Like, what's your plan? And it's like, and I kind of just laugh at them because like by that point, I already had some success, you know, from learning from you and with the YouTube, and I already knew, I saw just the chart, you know, you see it's going up, you're like, okay, well, I know that this is going to work out. So as I continued to deal with that pressure from like my grandparents, my family, you know, the whole point of doing that was to do something that was respectable from them, because, you know, I want to be a good kid. I want to, you know, support my family as well, but it just wasn't working out. You know, I wasn't the best at speaking at a top level college. I wasn't the best, and I didn't feel like my heart was in it.
That's a big thing, though. Now you saying your heart wasn't in it. And I say that because, you know, we have a lot of producers in the community that struggle, you know, they're at the same point that you were at then. And it's like, they're trying to figure out, should I make the decision? Should I go all in with my dreams, or should I just try to do something else, you know, be a mechanic or something like that, or go to college and try to be a teacher? Like, I get a lot of emails and dealing with that same thing. So for you to make that decision, you know, but it seems like, how were things working out before you decided like to go for what you feel like your calling was? Like, how was things working out for you, or how was that going?
Oh man, I mean, that was like the first time that I kind of experienced depression and what that kind of felt like, you know, being away from home, going to a school and following something that, you know, you thought you wanted, but it kind of wasn't really what you wanted. And it was difficult, you know, waking up every day, kind of just like sleeping in, you know, can't really get up, you know, not wanting to be in the classroom, not feeling comfortable with it. And it's just crazy because it's been night and day, because there were points in my life where I did follow what I really wanted to do. And it's crazy the difference in the way you feel when you follow the right path versus when you try to follow something else, what people expect of you or something into that nature.
Powerful, man. So how'd you get into like beats though? Like, so you started, you were playing the guitar. I'm assuming you got pretty good. You know what I mean? I know you got pretty good. How did you get? That's a kind of a. Usually you hear piano players get into making beats. You rarely are drummers, but you rarely hear like guitar players get into making beats. How did you get into that?
Yeah. I mean, luckily it was my dad, I think, who bought me like an 8-track recorder. So this is all the way back in like when I was in 9th grade, and I had a box, and I was like, what do you do with this box? Like, there was just levers and there was a couple different things. I was like, that's a great present, but I don't know what this is. And I was like, okay, well, let me plug this into here and let me record this. And like the first beats that I actually made were just guitar recordings. So I was like just recording guitars, and I didn't even know what beats were. I was just trying to, I guess, compose different sounds at that point. And then eventually I got a Mac, and I was like, oh, there's GarageBand. And I was like, I just started pressing some buttons. And luckily, being in a band and learning guitar, you're going to be around drummers. So I also got on the drum kit. So that was another thing that helped me, is kind of knowing how the drums actually are played from a real drummer. Whereas I feel like a lot of people have like a beat pad mentality. Like I have more of a like, what would the drummer do type mentality.
Well, that's interesting. Let's talk about that, because you know, in music, like you got the producers that you said they just started on beat pads. They don't know the feel of like, okay, how do you get that groove? How do you get that natural feel instead of it just feeling like 1, 2, 3? So what kind of, you know, stuff do you kind of implement, or do you know little tricks or whatever to get your stuff to feel more natural than just like the stiff 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, I mean, on Logic, and I'm pretty sure they have this on Fruity Loops, there's like a swing option. So even if you like click in the notes or whatever, you could sort of add a swing to it. So you turn it up to a percentage. Like for me, if I put it up to like 100% swing, then it has a pretty good swing to it. And it's not like 100% natural, but I like my first few years of making beats, I didn't even know about that. And like sometimes I would have a beat that was on tempo, and then like some drums or some other instruments, they were all on tempo, but they didn't work together as I convinced myself, because some of the parts had a swing and some of the parts didn't. And it was just like, it didn't quite have the feel. So just making sure that all the instruments are swinging in a sense to like the same degree. And it just takes, you know, like practice in terms of, you know, playing it and then matching, like, is it swinging or not? Or is it just like, you know, straight up robotic type feel?
That's some game right there. So swinging the instrument, swinging the drum, basically swinging the whole beat, giving it that swing. So it's not so stiff, like you said, robotic. And I know that goes in a long way for the person listening, the artist listening, to feeling the record, as opposed to just hearing it and saying, oh, that sounds good. But then when it has that swing, that actual feel, it's like, okay, I feel this record, you know, and that's what makes artists buy, is when they feel it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like my most popular video, it's just guitar, and it has like it's getting up to 2 million views in a matter of months. And like that thing, it has a good swing throughout the start. It just starts off and it just has a good feel to it. And I always wondered, like, why do people like this one? Like, you know what I'm saying? I put so much more effort and time into some of these other ones, but like, I don't know, I guess it's just a live, you know, realistic feel of music as well is important.
Yeah, and I noticed your beats too. Like now, you have a lot of like live instruments, or even the way it's played is like a live instrument. You know, guitars in your music. That's doing well. Like, would you say like right now your style? You know, what are your kind of go-tos right now that's selling for you or doing well for you?
I mean, I have like a whole list of things that I just kind of keep repeating, and then I try to always do new things as well because I find that really important. But for me, I circle through like acoustic guitar instrumental beat, and then if I get tired of that, you know, sad, you know, just adding emotions to it. And then I get tired of playing the acoustic, then I'm like, all right, let me go for some rock, like, and I'll get the electric guitar and I'll put like a rock beat. Or then there's also like metal beats, and then I also, if I get tired of that, I just start combining different genres. So I'll put like metal trap or metal rap, metal boom bap, metal. Like there's just so many different combinations of combining genres that people are searching for that nobody would do. That I feel that those are my go-tos, is just going to different stuff and then looking at the analytics, looking at the business, and then going back to it and being like, okay, what's working, and then just recycling and then trying to create new stuff and whatever's worked as well.
And I think that's what's legendary. But and you guys have a listen, you guys got to listen to his beats, so that way, you know, even if you pause this video and listen to his beats, RyiniBeats.com, so you can understand what I'm talking about. Like he really it's really quite legendary. He's mixing different genres. You hear rock with the trap drums. You hear the acoustic guitar with trap, but the drums is always banging though. That's the other things. Like it's weird. It still has like commercial feel, current feel, but it has these other genre elements to it. Like how does that work?
I mean, I don't know. I just take different elements and I just put them together, and it was just kind of about learning about the traffic sources, like you taught about finding what people are searching for. And there aren't that many people searching for this stuff, but the competition is so low, right? So it starts to, I think it's easy, especially for those producers who are struggling to get the momentum going, to go to those easy competition terms that don't have that much search. They may have like around 1,500 per month, but there are people searching for it, and then you start to build momentum in the YouTube search engine from there.
Okay, so let's get to it. Let's get to the business side of things, because you know, in my mind, looking at your data and everything, you got this YouTube thing in a smash. You know, it may not be like the biggest, but they probably started. You know, they started years and years ago. You know, so in terms of when you started and when you know how active you are, and it's just different. Like you're ranking for different terms. You're doing different things. So. Like, let's say, you know, first, let's say what got you started on YouTube in the first place? How did you know to put stuff on YouTube?
That's a good question. If you look back to my first video, I think it's like 10 years ago. It's just me back in high school. And I was just doing a cover of like one of the hardest guitar songs by like Michael Romeo, Symphony X. And it was just me doing a cover of it. And that was my first video. And then I came back a few years later, and I don't know what it was that just got me to want to post something. I guess YouTube just came out and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I just kind of want to show myself and just be a part of this. And it wasn't like, I think 3 years ago, I posted my first beat just because I had so many beats, and I don't remember the exact moment where I saw that somebody else had done it. I think that's what it was. I was just on YouTube and I was like, oh, they posted the beat. I was like, oh, interesting. I'll post the beat too, and like, let's see if it works. And it did okay, but I didn't know that there was a market, so I kind of stopped. But if I had known at that point, or even before I went to college, like 8 years ago, I always think to that thought, like, man, I could have been way further along.
So when did you how did you stumble across like what put it in your mind like to search for like, okay, doing this as a career, making money, selling beats on the internet? Like, because like before that, you didn't know it. At some point, you didn't know it existed. And after that, something made you, you know, look it up, and then you found either my videos or somebody else's videos. So what, you know, when was that time period that you looked and said, okay, let me find out if there's a possibility of making any type of money with this thing?
Yeah, I think that was about 2 years ago. And it's funny because I was going through YouTube and I saw this, I think the same video. It's like it brought a flashback to when I first saw you. I think it was the how to make 3,000 a month with beats. So a video you did a while back on YouTube. And I think that was the first one that I saw. And I just remember clicking on it and I was listening to you and I was like, man, like this guy seems to know what he's talking about, because, you know, I was at Berkeley listening to speakers, you know, these guys are intelligent talking about books. But like when I heard you, I was like, man, this guy, like he's putting this stuff together in like a format that makes sense to people. And it's like, that was when I first kind of realized that it's like, I didn't even know if I could believe you at first. I was like, this guy's serious? Like 3,000 a month? Like that's a lot of money. Like in my mind, I'm having for $5 a day.
Yeah, no, I get that a lot. Like, what? 3,000? Is this a scam? What's going on, man? You know, especially if you've never seen it before, right? You never experienced it. But that's amazing. So you saw the video. So, and this was only 2 years ago. So that's amazing itself. Like how far you've gone in only like 2 years. I mean, so you get there. What's like the first few things you start trying out or trying to do? Or what do? You get some courses or?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that really helped me, that going all the way back to like before my YouTube started taking off, is remember you said that when you start, you got to make like what the artists want. So you can't start off in, like, if I had started off doing kind of what I'm doing right away, it might not have worked. So what I did was I would actually just do covers of songs that were famous. For example, I heard Calvin Harris's My Way on the radio. I was driving on the car and I was like, wow, it just came out. So they're like, oh, new song just came out. I was like, wow, like maybe I wanted to remake it. So I remade it because I wanted to create something, like you said, that had to be something that people wanted. And I was like, I know they want this, so let me exactly create that. And I did a cover of it. And I started doing that with multiple songs, where I just hear a song on the radio and I was like, let me remake that exactly how it is, but without the vocals, but just the instrumental. And I started posting instrumentals, like their instrumentals. But what ended up happening was I started dealing with a couple copyright claims.
Yeah, I'm sure you got flagged at somehow. Yeah, I know they flagged.
I got flagged. But I got lucky because Calvin Harris actually took down his song My Way. And when he took his song down, that's how I got a lot of my first subscribers, is because my instrumental somehow went to the top ranking. And I started getting like, I don't even know, it was like 250,000 views in a day. Like I looked at the YouTube and I was like, I went from nothing. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I just freaked out. I was like, man, I'm getting like, and it was, they're paying me revenue too. And I was like, man, I'm about to take off. And then like, I think that lasted for 2 days before they flagged me and they caught me. But that was my first sense of like, wow, this is possible. And I was like, man, I'm going to get on there. I'm going to make this work somehow. And then I started to branch out and create different sounds, not just kind of covers, because you got to watch out for that as well.
Oh, a convertible, that's like a funny ass story. Like you just, I mean, that's just like random. Like, you know, they like, you get the top of the search. Of course they're going to flag you, you know what I mean? But still, I'm sure you got some subscribers from that, right?
Yeah. And they took away all my views, but they left me with the subscribers. So that was the cool thing. They flagged my stuff. I lost a lot of the views, but I kept like, I don't even know, like 500 or almost 1,000 subscribers. And that was my first, like, that's how I went from 0 or like 100 to like 900.
Really? Okay. Now, one thing that I noticed too about you is your channel, different than a lot of other channels. Your subscribers are like super freaking active, man. Like for the amount of subscribers you have, like when you post something, like they all jump on it, man. They're liking it. They're viewing it. You know, that's rare. Like, how is it? Is it consistency? Like, how did you get your subscriber base to be that like active with you?
Yeah, I think you said it, man. It's consistency. And a part of me even wonders why they keep coming back, because I keep doing these different genres and sometimes I throw people off. So I'll post all these acoustics and then sometimes I go and post a metal beat and then it'll throw some people off. But even with like doing different stuff, if you're consistent, I feel like they just keep coming back. And maybe it's the surprise that they don't know. I try to always have something different for them as well. But definitely, I mean, I've been consistent with the videos like every other day for probably over a year now. And I just keep stacking them up. So I have like at least 5 at a time, because I start to panic if I don't have any beats to post. I'm like, I start freaking out. So
all right, well, let's not. I don't want to glance over that. Do y'all hear this man's work ethic? Because I think sometimes that gets lost, Ryan. Like, it's like, hey, I'm gonna make a couple beats in there. Like, how? Let's say that again. For an entire year, how many beats did you posted beats? How often?
I posted basically every other day. And the thing is that I see a lot of producers do is they'll make like 100 beats and then they'll post 5. Like, oh, these are my best 5. They think they're the best 5, but they don't know because they're not the audience. So they thought they was the best 5, but they weren't. But I post, like, especially when I was starting off, even if I was like, oh, this thing sucks, I was like, I'm gonna post it anyways. Like, just post it for this. And I just post. I think I posted 99% or probably 100% everything I started. And
That's
just like
great.
for it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I just want them to see, like, it's work. It takes time, effort, work ethic. All the stuff that, a lot of times we don't want to do. We want it to happen like, hey, man, just put the beat up there and I should have, 100,000 views and 100,000 subscribers, But it does take that consistency over time, and it puts you in a good space, man. Like, even, like, so, like, what are you doing, like, as far as, I know you do some things, like, with emails. You get a lot of subscribers. Like, I think that you're primed to be like one of the biggest in the internet within the next, in 2019. Like, your trajectory, right? Because you're doing a lot of things, a lot of producers, that we teach, but they're not really doing, like building a list. I know you're building a list. You're getting a good amount of subscribers. So what are you doing with that side of things? How are you doing that?
Well, basically, what I learned from you was, luckily, I mean, you taught me about how to like reach out to people about jobs. So I know that there were like some templates that you offered in one of your courses that kind of say, like, what do you say to somebody to create a product for you to get the emails? It's like, I don't know what to tell them. And to be able to start reaching out to people on like Fiverr and different websites like that to get a design done for like a guitar loop pack, or like to free beats, for example. I got my first free beats and I had a design done for that. And then just posted it in my YouTube and started to build the emails. Because, when you offer something like that and people click on it, you just start to collect emails like that. And that was kind of how I got started with email marketing, although that's kind of why I'm dealing with you, because I don't know what I'm doing, how to reach out. That's why Postman's here to help with that, because sometimes we just get stuck in the music. But yeah, no, that's kind of how I got started building the list, is just those, lead magnets.
You might be giving out
guitar loops.
Okay, that's what you're saying, giving out free beats and free guitar. And now, also, I know you also sell guitar loops. And I wanted to say this too, Ryan, and you guys need to get his loops, because I did, like maybe a couple of years ago, I was telling producers, I said, hey, man, the wave is going to be instrumentation, live instrumentation, real instruments. That's what's going to be selling. That's going to be a huge wave that's coming up, because it was just obvious. Because if you study, like I study, everything happens in patterns. So we went to all electronic 808s, you know what I mean? Synthesizers, pads. of like, yo, if you get piano, guitars, instrumentation, that's going to be the wave coming up. And if you can jump on that early, you're going to get in front of the wave. Now, you jumped on it really early because you play the guitar and you jumped on that wave, and you see the wave is taking you. So, I would say that I know you sell guitar loops, like, and they're like actual acoustic, right?
Yeah, different from even like rock, metal stuff to acoustic guitars and just clean electric riffs from R&B, hip hop, stuff like that.
Okay, and I'll put the link down there so you can give me a link to it so they can get it. Because making guitars is not something that a lot of producers know how to play. They need some loops, somebody that's a real musician to give it to them. So how have you found that people like your stuff with like the real actual instrumentation and music and stuff like that?
You're talking about like artists in terms of watching my stuff, or are you talking about like producers?
Like artists like buying your stuff. Like, are they, which beats are?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, before I used real instruments, I mean, I wasn't getting any sales. Like if it was just MIDI and I was just putting in like piano, trying to click it in, or me trying to play it, I'm not a good piano player, so it just comes out really sloppy, or just off. And my beat just kind of sounded really like novice and weak, and I didn't even believe in the guitar at first, but eventually I tried it, and yeah, that's really what sold for me. I mean, all my most popular beats, I mean, you were even in my YouTube, you saw it's like all the acoustics and then the alternative rock and all that stuff does well too. I always start with guitar as well, just take the guitar loop and just go from there.
Yeah. And when you say like alternative rock, I gotta hear his beats because it's like it's alternative rock, but like I could hear Rihanna and I could hear like Ariana Grande. It's like it's weird. It's like it could be a hit record. It's not like because when you say like rock, they think of like it's just like purely a rock beat or something. They're like, oh, I can't do that. But it's like it's not just rock. It's like it's like a hybrid of. It just sounds like great music that I could hear a top artist singing on it or rapping on it. Do you kind of get that?
From people telling me like, wait, what do you mean?
Like as far as when you listen to the music, like do you hear like those type of artists?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely certain artists I hear on it, like Lil Peep. I know I did a lot of beats that I thought he could be on it. XXXTentacion. But definitely, I'm starting to get into more sounds that I think artists as such could be on for sure.
Okay. So are most of your customers and people finding you through like YouTube?
Yeah, definitely YouTube. I mean, I have a little Instagram following. I'm getting a little bit better at it now that I'm starting to build some traction. But yeah, most of the traffic, YouTube.
Okay, so let's say if I'm a producer, I'm starting out on YouTube. You know, I got my beats, you know, on my Airbit or my Beat Stars. You know, what are some tips? Give me a few tips that you think I should do, you know, just to get going, get my audience there. And what are some pitfalls maybe from your experience that I should watch out for?
What to do, just start to figuring out traffic sources as to what people are searching for and figure out what they're searching for and then what you're good at and then just trying to close that gap and trying to, you know, serve them what they're looking for, but also something that's true to yourself. And I think sometimes I've strayed away from what I believe and just started trying. Like, I remember one time I decided, like, I'm going to go straight in with trap. I'm like, I'm going to be a trap producer. And like, I tried a couple beats, but it just wasn't who I was. It wasn't my specialty. And like me trying to compete with them in trap, that's crazy. Like, why would I even try that? And I thought that it was a good idea. And sometimes you see other people succeeding, like, oh, this guy's succeeding in this. And yeah, there are some people in trap that are bigger than me, but I'm not going to switch who I am just to try to compete with them for that.
And that's, you know, Ryan, that's important because that's one of the things that I've always taught, that you find what's true to you, like your natural, you know, but it's a fine line, Ryan. Like, how do you find that line between like, okay, it's natural to me, but you know, then I'll get producers that send me stuff and be like, man, this won't sell. And they're like, oh, but this is me, man. But this, you know, this is my own thing, you know, like how do we balance that, man? How do you balance it at least?
Just the hard reality, man, listening to some other songs. I think going back to the first thing that I was saying about actually hearing the pro songs and then pulling them into your project, you know, like downloading the file, pulling it in, and then trying to create that. And it's like, that's not who you are, but that's going to help bridge the gap because it takes who you are. And it's like, now you're trying this. And then when you get back to doing what you were, it's like, now you have elements of this. So now you're over here, and it starts to kind of just reference tracks and trying to recreate whatever's close to you, I guess, in terms of what's popping in music.
Wow. Well, that's actually a secret nugget that I don't think that most producers know. I didn't even think about doing that. Which is, you say say you just release to the world, you know, one of the tricks. So you take a popular track and slide it into your software and then just try to recreate it. And man, that's so powerful because you're also going to be learning new stuff. Because you're like, hey, well, how do I get that to sound like that? You know, and it's not something you would usually do. And then, like you said, then when you go back to what you usually do, you're going to be adding some of those new elements in there, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know so many producers like that too, that they just come out with some funny sounding stuff, and it's like you could probably use that for some type of like funny commercial or something. I don't know. It's market for everything though, right? Like, or maybe like this, maybe a tiny market.
It is small market. So do you like, well, I know you said you slide it. So how do you like study? Like, what do you feel like you study, like or what are you studying now? Like to kind of, you know, improve. We're always trying to improve and stay relevant.
I mean, like a lot of the people that you taught actually, like from Busy Work Beats, Curtis King, stuff like that. You know, I'll watch some of their stuff sometimes in terms of just like the making of the beats or just kind of understanding what's going on. But in terms of the business, I mean, you're like the only guy I go to in terms of trying to understand how to actually earn something or to get rewarded for what the effort you give out. And then also have some influences that are outside of music, like in terms of marketing or like fitness, stuff like that.
Yeah, you seem like a pretty fit guy, man. Pretty fit guy. So it seems like just looking and listening to you, man, like, you know, if I could put it together, it's like you started off where a lot of people start off, you graduate high school, not sure exactly what to do, right? And I want to kind of fill these gaps in a little bit. So you you go to college, you like feeling like, okay, I got to figure something. I want to do something, you know, get a real job or something like that we've been taught. You come out, you know, you have this passion for music. You continue, you know, to kind of pursue this passion, even though at first, now were you making any money at first, like when you first started putting up stuff up or whatnot?
At first, I wasn't making really any money. I think I made my first sale a couple of years ago, but it started off really slow. I mean, I was happy with the first sale, or like even getting like a couple bucks in YouTube revenue. I think I was getting like 20 cents per day, and it added up to a little bit. And I was like, like if I can make $5 a day, like that will cover my cell phone and maybe some gas.
Yes.
Like, I thought I was thinking big, actually, Postman. I thought that was big.
Oh, that's amazing. So okay. So you get your first sale, and then like when do you okay? So that's it. So when does like your first week where you make like, you know, a couple hundred or 100 or 200 a day? Like when does that, like how long after you kind of start does that happen? Like you see your first real, you know.
That took me a few months, but it's funny because it kind of relates to one of the other questions. Is I had a phase where I would hear beats that were doing really good, especially ones that were sold. And I would go back and I wouldn't recreate it exactly how it was, but I would kind of rip it off in a sense. I would like take the tempo or like the instruments, and I would create something like a little bit different, to where if the producer heard it, he might be like, wow, this kind of sounds like my beat. Like, I don't know. But that's when I started actually getting more people that were like, oh, let me get that exclusively. Like, oh, this and that. And I was like, okay, you want that? Like, you know, I don't know, just kind of creating songs that were closer to what other people had already succeeded with. Like, not like note for note, but, you know, taking the tempo or the chord progression and kind of going from there.
Yeah.
And I started seeing more sales. And then that was like exclusive sales. And then to build up the leases, it took a few months, definitely, or a couple of years to get there, like a year before I started seeing like 1,000.
Okay. So how did that feel like when you got like, let's say your first exclusive sale? Like, how did that feel like when you're like, somebody wants my beat exclusively?
Man, I didn't believe it. I was like, this guy, at first I kind of felt like I was a scam artist. I was like, wait, he wants my beat? I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's good. Like, I don't know. I don't believe in this. And like, I started to doubt I was like, I don't even want to sell this. Like, he wants this? Like, all right. Like, and it's like, okay. I had to convince myself that it was even worth it. And then, yeah, I mean, they're happy to pay for it. But that was kind of my first thought, is like, I didn't even know people did that. So it just seems so unnatural to somebody who grew up like with a poverty mindset and not believing and stuff like that.
Let's go there. That's funny if you say that. It's like not seeing the value all the way in music, because I always say we do this so easily, right? You just kind of naturally do it. So a lot of times, we may have self-doubt and we don't value what it is we create. How did you start to come into valuing what you create and putting value on it and saying, hey, it's worth something, and that it is good and people should, be paying for it?
Yeah, I mean, it took a while. I mean, sometimes when people start to steal your work, you start to be like, man, these people are stealing my work. And like, but then what really started to make me believe in myself is seeing artists actually succeed. Or like when Casty first reached out to me, he's like, yeah, come on, like, let's shoot a video. And he released, and he was all over World Star Hip Hop and stuff like that. And he's like, oh yeah, and then we made a music video together. And he came out with a song with me on guitar, and it's just like me and him in the studio jamming and stuff. And then also seeing other artists eventually getting on YouTube and getting like millions of views with my beats. And I was like, man, like, this guy's doing well with this. And just in different countries too, across the world, they're doing pretty well, the artists. So it lets me know that there's potential there and that I should value it, I guess.
Well, let's talk about, you keep saying every time you speak, you open up something else. So now it's worldwide. So, because you know, a lot of things that I've been saying, you're like, you know, you're living, you're proving it. You know, it's like I always said that, you know, the time today is beautiful because it's like you could sell beats all over the world from your living room, right? I mean, this is a different time you live in, and so like you said, you got artists that are, you know, blowing up overseas, et cetera, whatnot. So do you have clients that are like out of the United States or et cetera?
Oh yeah, definitely. USA is my main country, but also I think Brazil is number two, and I'm also pretty big in Mexico, then Britain, and it goes from there. But yeah, I definitely have artists in many different countries that are using my beats, purchasing my beats. I kind of lose track of who's just using them and who's purchasing them, but yeah, definitely all over the world. It's crazy. I didn't even believe. I mean, I had some guy from China who was doing death metal over my beats recently. He's like screaming. He's like, "Yeah, in China they don't do this, but like I'm gonna start doing this in China." I was like,
See, that's great. That's crazy though. So I mean, it's just I still get amazed. Like talking to your even though we don't see ourselves this way, right? We don't see you just like, hey, I'm in my studio, I'm doing my thing, but like you're an internationally known music producer, right? Utilizing just the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like from our studios, from our bedrooms, from our basements, from our offices, like we literally are worldwide. You can be worldwide international musically. Like you literally are that. You know, like your music is being played all over the world. Even today, like people all over the world are being blessed by your music, man. Like how does that like feel to know that?
it feels really good to make a difference. And sometimes in my personal life, I don't get that connection. Like I don't go out that much. I don't have a lot of friends. Even my family life, it's not that close. But like I guess maybe I'm looking for that somewhere else or something. But it's good to get support from people like on Instagram and on YouTube where they comment and they just seem to care about you even more than some of the people who seem to take you for granted in person. Maybe I know
Yeah,
for me.
yeah, definitely. No, I mean, you're starting to build love through your music. People are starting to know you, and you're blessing them. Even though we don't, like I said, we don't necessarily feel it all the time, right? It's just to us, you just put something out. You just hit the upload button, right? Right, but you don't realize like people that listen to that acoustic beat, that one of those, because you rank for like one of the top acoustic guitar, like acoustic guitar. So I think it's like acoustic guitar, instrumental, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is a huge keyword, especially for even everyday people who just want to hear something that can calm them down. You know what I'm saying? And they just want to listen to beautiful music. So it's a lot of times we don't, you just hit the upload button, but you don't realize you impacted millions of people, right? I mean, last month alone, you impacted at least, what did you say, a couple 100,000 to 1,000,000 people?
Yeah, I mean, probably over 1 million. I mean, I'm not sure if it's all different people, but yeah, probably over 1 million, definitely.
Yeah, different worldwide. So I mean, it's very powerful stuff. And back in the day, we couldn't even have the ability to do this. So what do you like moving forward? What are some of your, some of your goals? Like one thing, some stuff you want to accomplish as a music producer. It may be online, offline, and industry. Like just some of your, that you have as far as achievements you want to, milestones you want to reach.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to see other producers also try to change the direction of music, and I also want to start collabing with more producers. So that's something I've been doing recently. Is I work with like Tuna Beats, Gold's House, Nombra, and a couple other producers, and I'm trying to figure out a way where we could work together and even find a way where they can leverage my platform. And if they want to collab using my loops, that if they're good, that they could kind of just use my loops and call it a collab, and I could post it and then to start building them sales and just help them out from there. But also with the artists to just continue to connect and to build relationships with the artists and to connect with them deeper, because I know it's kind of a distant relationship, just on YouTube. I'm trying to do more email marketing and like personal conversations with them as well.
Mm-hmm. So getting to know your artists and your clients a little better,
Definitely.
in their lives. Now, what as far as like, you got any dreams of having hit records or anything like that, or?
No, I mean, I just want to have like a stable income and just to be able to move out and kind of have my own place and to not have to worry so much about like every day having to get up and to do this. I mean, because I would like to grind like this every day, and I probably will, but sometimes there's just a lot of pressure to not have like a good location that's where you're comfortable doing or expressing yourself the way you should be.
Okay, so you want to like build your studio, and do it that type of way, right? And which you well on your way there. I mean, you know, you're doing really well from what I've seen. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, this year I feel like you're priming to be one of the top guys on this YouTube thing, and then just top selling beat sellers on the internet. And I want a lot of you guys that you know that are on my channel that are in the industry or whatever, yeah, check his beats out, because I feel like his music could go like even further, like in terms of major artists need to be hearing. You got something special there in terms of like your sound is different, it's cutting edge, and I know for a fact that it needs to be heard. It needs to be artists, like major artists, to be jumping on this sound. You know what I mean? So even to the people out there that's listening that, you know, you may have gotten, you know, you got a position at a label or something like that, check out RyiniBeats.com and spell it just so that way, you know, just because they're not sure how to spell Ryini.
Yeah, so it's RYINIBEATS.com.
Okay, so before we get out of here, man, you got the guitar sample loops. I'm gonna put in the description a link to them, and then I want you to any last words you want to say to the producers, etc.
Just, you know, don't give up and continue to follow your passions and do it for the right reasons. You know what I mean? If you see somebody that may be able to help you, because like I know I couldn't do it on my own. I had to reach out for help. And yeah, don't be scared to look for help and look for a blueprint, because you know it's not easy to do it on your own, and you can keep trying every day, but until you start to put together the tools, you're going to be struggling like me at first, and you definitely want to start to get it going and get that momentum building. So just, you know, don't give up and keep supporting the artists and keep supporting each other. And yeah, hope to work with you soon as well. And I hope you guys keep working with Postman, because, you know, I have a lot of trust for him, and every bit of investment that I put into Postman, I've gotten way more. And I can't say that about other people that I've invested in. There have been times where I invested in other people and I'm like, it didn't work out for me. You know, like I ended up losing the money. I was like, I didn't gain any money back, but like, it's just like a smart investment to believe in yourself and to believe in the system and how it works. And Postman knows it better than anybody else. I mean, he's been around. He's the first one, man. I saw your beat store, the first beat store, right?
Yeah, first beat store. Yep. And I'm going to claim that title until someone shows me a beat store prior to 2006. So you have to show me a beat store that you made in 2005 to have the earlier beats to claim that title. So I challenge anybody out there.
Site too, because you had a membership site as well.
I had a membership site. Yeah. Yeah, I was way ahead of my time. Like, yeah.
I was freaking out when I saw that site. I was like, wait, I was blowing my mind.
Yeah, I had a beat membership site. Yeah. This is before a lot of you guys are in Pampers, you know, because they're young. You know, we have a young audience too, producers 18, 19. So they had to have been like getting dropped off at daycare, right?
Yeah.
So
if they don't want to work, then more time for me. I'll just keep working with you, Postman. We'll figure something out. I'll keep consultations and stuff. I mean, you helped me out so much with the emails and stuff and setting that up, and I'm just excited to get forward to be able to reach out to people besides YouTube. I mean, that's all I do, to be able to go further and to set up a real business. So I mean, that's why I go to Postman, is to set up a real business, not just to make beats and to click buttons and to throw bricks around and stuff.
I appreciate it, man. Well, I'll tell you this, man. If y'all haven't checked out Ryan, check out his beats. And I'm proud, man. I want to interview you, man, because you're a very humble guy. You know what I mean? He's humble with his numbers and all that. But they're pretty extraordinary. You know, they're pretty extraordinary. I've seen them myself. They're real. And just me seeing a lot of different producers, I can tell you, you know, he's really, really doing it, you know, doing it for real. You know, he's just humble. You know what I mean? He's a humble guy. He's not out here bragging about this and that, but he's a good guy, man. I love working with you, Ryan. I want to continue to work with you. Yeah, and if it's anything that I can do, you know, to help push you forward, man, let more people know about you, because I really believe in your music strongly, man, and your movement. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of producers, you know, they sell well and they sound kind of the same, but just with what you're doing, man, I think is actually a movement in terms of what music is and where it's going. Even though to you it's just natural, right? Because you do it, but I can hear it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure the producers would be able to hear it as well.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Postman. I appreciate you. You've helped me so much.
All right. All right. So that's RyiniBeats.com. Anything else you want to shout out, man? Social media or anything like that?
No, you just keep, yeah, you can follow me on like Instagram at Ryini Beats or Facebook Ryini Beats, or search me up, find me that way.
Oh, okay. All right. So Ryini Beats, thanks a lot again, man. Appreciate it. Make sure y'all check him out. Liveoffbeats.com. Check it out. I'm Postman. This is Ryan and Ryini Beats. And much love to you, and we'll see y'all later.